Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Vimo Live. This is a show that happens every week, Monday to Friday at 10 p.m. This Tuesday, there was no episode, and that's because I was completely talked out. But today we are live, and I'm willing to talk, and I'm happy to talk. And I hope you're all happy to be here also. I see a lot of people in the comments. But before we jump into today's topic, I will like to tell people that you are either in the chat right now listening to this on YouTube, or you are listening to this as audio at a later point of time. And if you are doing that, then you are probably doing it on Spotify, Google Podcast, uh, Apple Podcast, Ghana.com, Geo7, etc. And if you are, please share the podcast with someone you know or on your social media profiles so that the podcast can be heard by more people. Thank you. And today's topic had to do about how silly and basic the promises made by spiritual gurus or spirituality in general are. Like, I remember having a conversation some time ago with someone who said that it's about reducing arrogance or losing selfishness or something like that, which all sound very nice because we all know arrogant people who are bad and selfish people who are bad, and therefore we think that the qualities themselves can be gotten rid of. But I frankly don't know anyone who's not arrogant or selfish to some degree. Some people are less arrogant, some people are more arrogant, and spiritual gurus are definitely not people who have let go of their arrogance. So when spiritual people look at people who describe themselves as non-spiritual or atheist or something, they have an extremely condescending superiority complex, which sounds like, see, one day you will be like me. Look at me, I'm so free from arrogance. One day in your journey you will reach the point where I am. And that does not occur to them as if it is selfish or arrogant. And that really blows my mind, because I think the reason a lot of people go to spiritual gurus and then are unable to let go of whatever they have been in whatever cult they have been included into, the reason they are unable to leave is because of a logical fallacy called sunk cost fallacy. एंड दैट इज़ बेसिकली कि मैंने इतना पैसा खर्च किया है, मैंने इतना टाइम लगाया है, अभी अगर मैं सबको जाके बोलूँगा कि ये सब बकवास था और मुझे कुछ मिला नहीं, देन पीपल विल थिंक आई एम स्टूपिड. सो इन ऑर्डर टू नॉट लुक स्टूपिड इन फ्रंट ऑफ पीपल, in front of whom they have really praised these things to high skies, they continue doing the thing. They even fool themselves into thinking that there is some merit there, because if there isn't, they have wasted their money like fools. I personally think that if a person has wasted their money like a fool, then they should at least, when they realize that they have wasted their money like a fool, accept that they have been fooled. To remain a fool for half your life is better than remaining a fool deliberately for your whole life. So that is the general topic that I wanted to talk about. Of course, that is not going to happen, as we have seen over and over on this show. I have a topic, but people talk about other things, and then the show becomes about 20 different things, which is great, by the way. That is what a live stream is should be. Live streams is supposed to be. The reason I add a topic is because it's YouTube, and I need a thumbnail and a title and some characteristic to differentiate one episode from another. Although I'm happy to see that a lot of people don't really care about the thumbnail, they're binging episodes quite a lot. Last month I got reports of about my channels, and my main channel has more subscribers, and the rate at which it is growing is also faster as far as subscribers is concerned. But this channel, even though the number of subscribers every month is low, has got the maximum watch time, like lakhs of minutes. So great. People are listening to the videos for long periods of time. So that is great. Thank you so much, people, for doing that. And now I get to the comments, which may or may not be about the topic that I have chosen. Let me look at the most recent, latest comment and then go forward. Arun says, I don't know if anyone else feels this, but spiritual gurus, when making promises to the public, sound disturbingly similar to dark lords in fantasy books. Yeah. Also, YouTube motivational gurus and wealth gurus. There was this thing I heard recently which said that if you want to make a distinction between genuine teachers and false gurus, look at the promises they make. Because a good guru will say that I will teach you my method, I will teach you my method of doing work, right? And by the end of this course, you will be able to work like me. That is what they will say. A false guru will say, I will teach you a method using which you will become a multimillionaire. Or I will teach you a method using which you will get everything you ever wanted. It is the big promises that are the difference between a proper teacher and a false teacher. And that is the criteria that if you apply to spiritual gurus, you will find that, if the promise is that you will become an individual without arrogance, then it's a high promise and nobody can keep it. And true enough, a lot of followers of these gurus end up looking, sounding, talking like extremely arrogant people. So clearly that is not working. Uh, Kiran says, watch video where Sadhguru is destroying stupid people. They are funny with a lot of logical fallacies. Sadhguru is destroying stupid people. I have no idea. I didn't know that Sadhguru's channel contained videos where he's destroying himself. Please send me a link to that. Metal Man says, yo, I had a nice dinner. Made myself a bottle of cool Nimbu Pani after a long day. Time for Vimo and chill while I make drawings. Great. Great to see that I'm the background music of your life, at least of your evening. Agastya says, if you want to stick to the topic, just ignore hecklers like me. No, man, it's okay. Um, Nandini says all spiritual gurus are very, very rich. Yeah, that's kind of the point, isn't it? The point is that you all waste your time following stupid advice and look at me singing songs and closing my eyes and taking a nap while I'm sitting on a stage in front of thousands of people. You all keep looking at me and keep thinking that I'm some great and wise man while I keep getting rich. You all keep listening to my rhetorical advice about how materialism is bad while I build my mansions and enjoy my money. That is the point. It's a dhanda like anything else. It's a dishonest dhanda unlike anything else. Battler says, so I would like to speak about the video of scientists who are asking basic questions to Sri Sri, the one where countering it led to Pranav getting copy striked. Yeah, I think उसके बारे में बातचीत हो चुकी है. I think a lot of those scientists were, we have spoken about this, right? The importance of encouraging humanities education and how badly we teach science in India. So I suppose that may have been a reason. People can be well trained in an area, but their family values, the dogma into which they're inculcated at a young age, not inculcated, indoctrinated at a young age, that never leaves people. And since upper caste Hindu society is surrounded and steeped in religion, uh, this also happens. I think I left a few comments early on. Sandeep M, in one of his videos, told Vedas are best and those Western thinkers are fools. Rene Descartes is a fool. Ghochu tha wo. He claims to be a Vedanta student. Now he isn't. Now isn't he being arrogant? Yeah, exactly. This is arrogance. They like to claim that everyone else is arrogant when the most arrogant thoughts are in their own heads. Like, I'm not pretending to be not arrogant. No one will. Some people are nice, some people are not, some people are helpful, some people are unhelpful. But arrogance is in everyone to a certain degree. The problem with these people is that they're in love with a label. Like I have said so many times before, they're in love with a label. They want to be treated as wise, even though they are not wise. They want to be treated as, calm and collected, even though their behavior does not show that they are calm and collected or not arrogant. They want the label, they don't want the thing. This entire dhanda is about labels. It's about appearances. It's about clothes. Even the motivational guru about whom you're speaking, he will hardly ever come on, wearing a t-shirt, right? He'll wear a coat, chashma. He wants to take on the appearance of a smart man. That is what this is about. They're selling very, very basic content for, reasonably high prices. And in doing so, they're taking advantage of their audience who does not know the difference between what is smart and what is not, because they think that looking smart is the same as being smart. बाय द वे, इसके बारे में, इस पूरे कंट्रोवर्सी के बारे में हमने एक पुराने एपिसोड में बात की है. आई डोंट रिमेंबर विच वन, बट या. Crazy Gamer says, Mesmer, that also the main problem of Sandeep Maheshwari, as well as he divided Eastern philosophy and Western philosophy in religious way. Yeah, so इन लोगों का वही है ना, if there is a foundational thing about Hindutva, it is that the goal is to equate Hinduism or being Hindu with being Indian. And that's a false idea. It has no foundation. India does not belong to one religion. India is not the bapoti of people from one religion. India belongs to everyone. And if people from one religion want to claim that they gave everyone everything, then they can claim that in the privacy of their bedroom. Nobody gives a shit about that opinion. Dolly says, "Did you see the latest episode of Orville?" Yes, the flying officer was lost in the past and had 10-year-old kid. Now he was asked to go back to his own time. It was really a big dilemma. Yeah, it was a very heartbreaking episode, and I think this is not done. I think it may be a super villain. I have no idea what is going to happen next, but I think, spoiler alert for anyone who's not seen this thing, they had their pilot flung back in time to the year 2015, and he sent a call for help, and these people got it, and they went back, but they took a lot of, they did not arrive at the right point in time. They arrived 10 years after he had been sent there, and by this time he had made a life for himself. He had a wife, he had a child, etc. And now they go to him and say, you cannot, you know pollute the past because you're changing the future. And that's a valid concern, because if they went back to the future at that point of time, they would be going back to a future where uh, a lot of things may have changed because this guy polluted the timeline and he didn't want to come. So they eventually had to take on, I don't want to spoil the episode for anyone completely, but they did something and they fixed the problem. But I think this is a supervillain origin story. This guy, this alternative character, he might come back at some point. Dolly says, if the captain was not able to go 10 years back where they lost him, then the flying officer would have all the memories of his time travel life, his son, his wife. What a toll it would take. Yeah. And also, the way they solved it it felt very convenient to me. Like they brought this guy back from a previous time and he's like, oh, I can't believe that I did that. Because on some level, he must be sad, right? That is a life that I could have had or something. I don't know. Um, Purvesh I think Ramchandra Paramhams has fooled Swami Vivekananda that Ramchandra Paramhams had experienced a watched God. Then Vivekananda had fooled the whole generation and world at that time. I don't think they were insincere. I personally don't think they were insincere. I think the hold of their cultural baggage was very huge on him. And I personally think, on the basis of whatever I have read about Ramchandra Paramhams, that he was not lying. But that does not mean that he actually saw God. He thought that he saw God. And we have had documented cases of people with advanced cases of autism or something hallucinating about something. There are people who spend their entire lives with imaginary friends. Now, I don't have any way of justifying that this is what was happening to Ramchandra Paranhans, but it is possible that he was some kind of autistic savant, and he was some kind of a genius, and his genius was directed in the direction of spirituality instead of math or science. As far as Vivekananda is concerned, it is quite possible that Vivekananda was inspired by Ramchandra Paramhans, and he spent many years under him, and he tried to understand where he was coming from, but he did not get there. But despite the fact that he did not get there, he did get other things, which were cultural awareness and some pride in Hinduness and all that, which we have all read about plenty. So I don't need to repeat it. But I don't think they were dishonest or insincere. I think they were wrong, but they did believe in what they said to be true. Deepika is answering that psychedelic substance, etc. No, there is actually no record of that, or maybe there is, and I have not noticed it. But I think I like my theory better. Deepika says these Brazilian tribal people called it Mother Iosca. If human does not have knowledge about that thing, then it is considered magic or something from God. Yeah, that is principally what has been the impulse behind religion for ages now. When we don't understand something, we stuff God in it. God has been our way of God or gods or spirits or bhoot pret has been our way of explaining how reality works. And we have been doing it for a long time now. So the habit is hard to let go of. That is why religion still persists. Uh, Purvesh says, Deepika, I think Astha Mukti or Science's Job have made a video on how a tribal from an unknown country has fooled itself at the time of Second World War. I don't know if Astha Mukti has a video on it. It may be Pranav. Music says, greetings. Can you all think of any spiritual guru who does not seem to be a fraud? Everyone points to Ramana Maharishi. I'm just curious. Okay, I have not read much about Ramana Maharishi. I have a friend who's a huge fan of him, but I haven't spoken to her in some time also. Deepika says, I think no one can break the laws of physics using just our body, like flying, communicating with someone from far away distance, talking to so called spirits. You are correct. I also do not think anyone can break the laws of physics using just our body. Socrates says, Hi Bemoji. Hi Socrates. Purvesh says, they're thinking that planes and all are somehow godly. Oh, okay, the Brazilian thing. Arun says, I don't know if anyone else feels this, but okay. I don't know if anyone else feels this, but spiritual gurus, when they're making promises to the public, sound disturbingly similar to dark lords in fantasy books. I think I already read these comments. Oh, okay. I had gone back a little. So I'll jump forward somewhat. Mm. Ah. Crazy Gamer says today people are enjoying religious and political shift. Is there a chance that other countries start considering India in an ignorant way? Yeah, look at the rhetoric coming out of Sri Lanka right now. श्रीलंका में क्या हुआ श्रीलंका में there have been reports about how our industrialists were sold to them through governmental pressure and a lot of money was made by their politicians and by their rich people. Now their like Sri Lanka, on some level Sri Lanka is deeply satisfying and on another level it is quite scary because I don't want that to happen to my country. However, it does also seem like we are going in that direction. I don't think it will happen here. India is too big and there is too much brainwashing here. And I do think that the people of Sri Lanka have made the right decision by, you know, at least rejecting these politicians. I cannot speak to the violence against them or the, the burning of the houses and all that. That is clearly not good. But I think that, by the way, there was a video on Naveen Kumar's channel, Article 14, where he was talking about the Godi media of Sri Lanka, how these people, like the entire model for the Gotabaya Rajapakse family was the model from India. They were looking forward to, they were saying कि हाँ हमको कोई ऐसा strong leader चाहिए जो Christians को और Tamils को ठिकाने लगा दे, या Christians को और किसको, there were some other communities I'm forgetting, but Christians were at least there. इनको ठिकाने लगा दे, इनको जो सजा सबक सिखाएगा उसको हम लोग सपोर्ट करेंगे. And then a few years passed and they figured that their economy was in the gutter and that a lot of money was being taken by these rich people and their cousins in the political parties. And now their prime minister, who's actually just taken power to enable the transition to a multi-party government, his house was burnt down. Like the people are so angry that they are burning down the house of the guy who quite possibly may be the band-aid that they need right now. And the guy who ran away, he's he's in Maldives right now, but Maldives does not want to keep him. So there is no telling where he's going. And the Godi media anchors of Sri Lanka, they're like, the people did not hurt them, but they ran away from the studio without taking their makeup off, apparently, as Naveenji said. So something very interesting is happening in Sri Lanka. I hope that the country comes out better because of it. Aditya says, have you seen the latest video of JP crying again? No, I have no interest in watching JP crying again. He has issues and he should get help. The last thing that man needs is to be on a TV screen talking nonsense. वो प्रॉपर सठियाया हुआ बुढ़ा है. उसको कोई रोको, उसको मतलब मदद चाहिए उसको. Purvesh says, doing a freelance work of making a game character, Vimo Third Eye. Oh, okay. Fun. Like, can you share more about it? If you can't, that's okay. Battler says the society, the scientists are from the best institutes in this country. What kind of upbringing did someone go through to undermine their whole profession at the feet of some guru? Look at our prominent family monetizing vlogger, the guy who sues people and recently was arrested because he wanted to organize a birthday party at a metro railway station. He's a proper educated engineer. He's a pilot, for God's sake. And he is someone who's like, नहीं हवन करते तो भोपाल के गैस ट्रेजेडी वाले लोग नहीं मरते. That is the level of our science education. People can come out of this education system, be educated, get the job on the basis of that education, and still be utter and complete morons when it comes to their religion. Religion has a very tight hold on people's minds. The moment someone is told उनका religion खतरे में है, they become fools. their brain their brain takes a leave of absence and goes away, and they have no way of, I mean, they have a way, but they don't want to let go of their religious ideas or even consider those ideas critically. That's what's happening. uh, Mesmer says, why didn't you answer my questions? अरे भैया क्या क्या पूछा था तुमने? Hold on. मैस्मर ने क्या पूछा था? मैस्मर, तुम्हारे कमेंट का जवाब दिया था ना मैंने, पर सारे कमेंट नहीं पढ़े. बट ओके, ही माइट बी बायस्ड, पर इतना बायस कौन रखता है? कॉलिंग द कंप्लीट वेस्टर्न फिलॉसफी इज फूलिश, दिस शोज हाउ फूलिश इज. मतलब इसका जवाब मैंने दिया था, एंड देन आई सेड दैट आई हैव स्पोकन अबाउट दिस इन अ प्रीवियस एपिसोड, सो इफ यू वांट टू यू कैन लिसन टू इट. मैस्मर देन सेज, वेस्टर्न फिलॉसफी ने रिलीजन और फिलॉसफी को अलग किया, दैट्स व्हाई देयर इमर्ज्ड वेरियस आइडियाज ऑफ फिलॉसफी, बट इन इंडिया रिलीजन एंड फिलॉसफी वर नेवर सेपरेटेड. Yeah. Although our problem is not that religion and philosophy were never separated. Our problem is Brahmanism. Brahmins control political power in a lot of spaces. Brahmanism is an ideological framework that dominates a lot of minds. That is our problem. Philosophy is fine, I guess. If someone wants to go for ancient Indian philosophy, there are many schools of philosophy. Not all of them created by Brahmins. But we don't hear about them many. We mostly don't hear about them. We hear only about the religious outlook created by the Brahmins. And therefore, the religion that we all call Hinduism is basically Brahmanism. Right. So, Mesmer के comment पढ़ लिए. Agastya says, spirituality is a hustle. They work hard on their persona and make money of. Yeah, absolutely. It's a branding game. You create an appearance for yourself. You put on a certain set of clothes. You speak a certain few lines, and you build an audience. By the way, I get a lot of commenters in my YouTube videos asking me my opinion of, what's this guy's name? Good that I don't remember his name. This is some new thing, new Sadhu Baba guy who is catering to atheists. So there will be sarcastic comment from someone as follows: "Come see our Babaji का प्रवचन and let's see how big of an atheist you are." As if मैं बाबाजी के पास सर्टिफिकेट लेने के लिए ज़रूरी है, नहीं तो मैं एथिस्ट नहीं बन पाऊंगा. मेरा एथिस्ट बनने का सपना है और बाबाजी सर्टिफिकेट बांट रहे हैं. This some Baba, what is his name, Ray? I'm forgetting. He brags about coming from the IITs as if that is a certificate of some sort. जिस आदमी ने विराट कोहली की बेटी को सेक्सुअल असॉल्ट का धमकी दिया था ना कुछ दिन पहले, वो भी आईआईटी का था. IIT is not a guarantee of anything. There are utter morons coming out of IIT. So this Babaji is also someone who brags about IIT. His followers at least brag about it. And his method of promoting himself is that, I don't know if he does this directly or if his followers are doing this of their own volition, but his followers are promoting him by going on other people's live streams and videos and saying, what is your opinion about our Babaji? And the person will say, अच्छा इसका तो नाम नहीं सुना था, सर्च करता हूँ. So that is how he promotes. He puts his name out there and gets people curious about him. And because his followers say things like, he's an atheist, he doesn't believe in God, or that he's from IIT. So if you are an urban person and you say, okay, IIT से आया, बाबा बन गया, कैसा है, curious. So this is the kind of novelty he has created about his brand, and his followers are using it to promote him. And it's hilarious. It's hilarious. It's sad also, but it's nothing new. He's not the first Babaji to do this. बाबागिरी का धंधा बहुत पुराना है. बहुत बाबे ऐसे आए हैं जो ये कर चुके हैं पहले. ये बस लेटेस्ट नमूना है और कुछ नहीं. मुझे उसका नाम याद नहीं आ रहा. Samira has become a member. Hi Samira, thank you for becoming a member. Much appreciated. I'll just remind everyone that, like Samira, you can become a member. There is a join button below this video. If you click on it, you will pledge a monthly amount of 159 rupees, which will help me work, make these live streams, these podcasts, write and make my reels, write my essays and everything. I'm a full-time content creator, and you becoming a member is basically you sponsoring me. So if you want to become sponsor, click the join button and become a member. Thank you, Samira. किधर है? Purvesh says, you missed top comments. No, I went through top comments. I didn't answer all of them because some are like, मैं कुछ comments को आजकल skip कर रहा हूँ because they're like, they will give me a topic and say, what is your opinion about X? एंड मैं क्या लॉन्ग आंसर टाइप आंसर दूँ क्या? कुछ स्पेसिफिक पूछो तो बता सकता हूँ। व्हाट इज़ योर ओपिनियन अबाउट वाटर? व्हाट इज़ योर ओपिनियन अबाउट ब्लू स्काईज़? क्या जवाब दूँ इनका? डो लाइक पीपल आस्क मी टू टॉक अबाउट लाइक जस्ट टॉक अबाउट समथिंग। आई डोंट नो व्हाट टू डू. Ask me something specific. If I have the answer, I will give it. If I don't have the answer, I can't give it, obviously. Uh, Aditya says, for such an alpha male, he never misses a chance to start crying. No, we should not stigmatize crying actually. Everyone is allowed to cry, including Jordan Peterson. It's just that I think his crying is stemming from a place of privilege and he needs help. He really needs help. He's like that cranky uncle who's posting random shit on Twitter. And then when people say, hey, uncle, you can't post this, he's like, a totalitarian state is coming after me. He's lost it. I think he's completely lost it. He needs help. Battler says, it was incredibly depressing to see how Sri Sri approached both the achievements of science and ancient philosophers to make himself look greater. Yeah, that's what they do. It's a business of appropriation. They look at what science has done. I'm pretty sure ये जो James Webb Space Telescope, the spectacular photos that it has sent back of the early universe and of a certain galaxy cluster, and now the telescope is actually also going to send us great pictures of Jupiter. I'm really looking forward to that because we don't have great pictures of planets in our own social system, our own solar system. And we are going to get amazing pictures of Jupiter, and I hope some satellites of Jupiter and Saturn where it is speculated that we might have light pretty soon. But my point was, महीना भर वेट करो, तुमको ऐसे लोग मिल जाएँगे जो जेम्स वेब स्पेस टेलीस्कोप ने जो फ़ोटो भेजे हैं, जो फाइंडिंग्स अभी होने वाली हैं उनके बेसिस पर, ये जैसे ही अनाउंस होंगी, महीने भर के अंदर हिंदुइज़्म, इस्लाम, क्रिश्चियनिटी सब क्लेम कर ये तो हमको हज़ारों सालों से पता था। ये इनको जो हज़ारों सालों से पता था ना, कभी बताते नहीं है। पर जैसे ही साइंस बोलता है, अच्छा एविडेंस मिला है, ये हमको पहले से पता था। क्या ये क्या ये क्या बता रहे हो? ये तो हमको करोड़ों सालों से पता था। ये तो मतलब बेसिक चीज़ है। हमारे देखो ये जो गॉड ने यहाँ कहा है इस वर्स में, इसके नीचे इसका ये जो थर्ड वर्ड है ना, इसको अगर थोड़ा ऐसे करके देखोगे तो इसका मतलब वही निकलता है जो तुम्हारे फैंसी स्पेस टेलीस्कोप ने महीनों के हार्ड वर्क के बाद निकाला हुआ है। ये होने वाला है पक्का। साइंस जो भी निकालेगा, बाबा लोग आएँगे बोलेंगे ये तो हमको पहले से पता था। ये बहुत पुराना ड्रामा है। Arav says, read something which says that while political correctness is beneficial, it can also harm the minority that it seeks to protect, as it does not allow people to look at an alternative reason for problems. Well, sometimes the reason for the problem is very clear. If a group is hurting another group, then there might be many reasons behind that conflict. But if the most obvious reason is that the group that is doing the attacking is a majoritarian group, and that group is doing it out of racist tendencies, then you have a reason right there. I think another problem that we run into is that sometimes a reason is there, it is quite large and hard to miss, impossible to miss, in fact. But in order to not talk about it, people will try to find nuance there. And yeah, I know that person is trying to burn this house down, but we need to look at 500-year-old history of the relationship between these two families. And you're like, अबे उस घर में आग लगी है उसको तो पहले बुझा लो. नहीं वो तो होता रहेगा, but I think this is equally important. We need to look at what this guy's great grandfather did to that guy's great grandfather when they were both 30 years old, 30 years, 5 months, and 14 days old. That day something happened. So yeah, I'm happy to talk about nuances, but when a situation is urgent, when a situation is so, so important that actual lives are being hurt and damaged right now, people are being dehumanized, etc. First, उसको बंद करो. मुझे नुआंस में कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, पर अगर नुआंस को बहाना बना के कोई इमीडिएट प्रॉब्लम्स पर पड़ने वाली अटेंशन को डाइवर्ट करना चाह रहा है, तो मुझे उससे बहुत बड़ी प्रॉब्लम है. मैंने आज ही किसी को अपने अकाउंट से हटने को कहा, जो यही चीज़ कर रहा था. Nuance has its place, but we are not living in a very nuanced time. The only people for whom this time is nuanced are people who are not getting affected by things. Like आज दोपहर को एक पॉडकास्ट सुन रहा था where one of the hosts, I think they're living in a metro or are an NRI or something, they said दुनिया भर में कितना कुछ बुरा हो रहा है, देखो अमेरिका में क्या हो रहा है, स्कूल शूटिंग वगैरह, देखो श्रीलंका में क्या हो रहा है, इंडिया by comparison is so beautiful. एंड मैंने अपना सर पीट लिया डेस्क के ऊपर कि अगर तुम एक ऐसे व्यक्ति हो जिसको इंडिया में प्रॉब्लम नहीं दिख रही है, तो क्लियरली तुम इतने ज़्यादा प्रिविलेज्ड हो कि प्रॉब्लम्स तुम्हें अफेक्ट ही नहीं कर रही है। These sentiments always come from either upper caste Hindus or people who are so clueless about the ground realities that they can afford to live in these fantasy lands where nothing is wrong in India. Your press freedom index has gone down the drain. Your economy has gone down the drain. Your unemployment is soaring. You don't get to hear about the protests because Godi media is also sold. And therefore, in this bubble of, cluelessness, you exist and you think nothing is wrong. Open your eyes, smell the air. You'll find the stink strong, soon enough. Uh, Isha says social media handles followers of these gurus go around posting pseudo scientific stuff and bashing Catholics and Muslims on posts of people from other countries. Hugely embarrassing. Yeah, because our like the people who fuel these sentiments are people who have there will be an abuser on Twitter, for example. They'll send some abusive message, and you'll say, okay, this is very abusive, and then someone else says, just ignore na. And the person who says just ignore that doesn't get any abusive message, and that same person will never send a message to the abuser saying, hey man, you're doing something wrong. That's their idea of apolitical. And by the way, if you look closely, as Krityam pointed out on Instagram a couple of days ago, the people who are saying I'm not interested in politics are the same people who are going and liking posts on Sanghi handles. They will not say it, but these are, what is the Hindi word for it? I think it's a Rajasthani word, maybe. Kaiyan. These are Kaiyan people. एक नंबर के चालू लोग हैं. They are political. They do take political decisions. They do make politically motivated decisions, but they will say I am not political because they don't want to lose their liberal friends. And I think liberal people, progressive people, should become wise to the ways of these Kaiya people. Like, मुझे पता है तू क्या है, मुझे पता है तू किनको सपोर्ट करता है, मेरे सामने ढोंग करने से मैं उल्लू नहीं बनूंगा. Addict listener says James Webb Space Telescope gives us excellent photos of our universe. It claims that it traveled time and kept photos of just after. So if telescope have what? It claims that it traveled time and can give us photos just after the Big Bang. So if telescope able to prove our origin. No, it can't give you photos of just after the Big Bang. It can give you photos of about 100 million years after the Big Bang. And just, that's a lot. That's a very short time in the cosmic scale. But the James Webb Space Telescope can only pick up light, and light is particles, photon, right? Photon particles. And photons were not photons that were created. The first photons that were created could not escape the conditions of the universe that existed until about 100 million years. I may be getting this somewhat wrong, but around 100 million. बिग बैंग के होने के 100 मिलियन ईयर्स बाद तक फोटॉन्स फ्री नहीं थे ट्रैवल करने के लिए, क्योंकि ए यूनिवर्स ने उतना एक्सपैंड नहीं किया था, और बी जो मॉलिक्यूल्स थे उनके बीच में इतना फ्लक्स था कि आई शुड गेट अ साइंटिस्ट टू से ऑल दिस, टेक ऑल दिस विद अ पिंच ऑफ सॉल्ट एंड डू वेरीफाई एवरीथिंग आई एम सेइंग. बट आई थिंक बिग बैंग के 100 मिलियन साल के बाद वो लाइट निकली जिसको जेम्स वेब स्पेस टेलीस्कोप देख पा रहा है. उससे पहले लाइट नहीं थी, उससे पहले लाइट ने ट्रैवल नहीं किया था, शुरू नहीं किया था. सो द अर्लीस्ट लाइट पॉसिबल वी मे बी एबल टू सी, बट जस्ट आफ्टर द बिग बैंग वी स्टिल डोंट नो व्हाट हैपेंड. Crazy Gamer says it's harsh that when Dalima of Indian Dalima? What is Dalima? Of Indian people breaks, we are shifted back 200 years before. Dalima क्या होता है? I don't know. Did you mean dilemma? In that case, I still don't understand. Kaushal says, did you see Miss Marvel today? Loved the last minute reveal. Yeah, along with the X-Men cartoon. So yeah, if I don't want to spoil it for anyone, if you haven't seen, after all the episode just came out today, मिस मार्वल देख लो. इस बीच कभी बात करेंगे, उसके ऊपर पूरा एपिसोड करेंगे, या फिर गटर स्पेस पे कर लेंगे. सीनियर सच वेद, उपनिषद, पुराण में जेम्स वेब टेलीस्कोप और उसके डिस्कवरीज़ के बारे में पहले से ही लिखा हुआ है। धर्म के ठेकेदारों द्वारा द्वारा अब ये क्लेम वायरल किया जाएगा। हाँ, हाँ। जेम्स वेबम कहीं न कहीं मिल जाएगा किसी को। मूड क्या है says news 5 arrested for putting a banner criticizing Modi in Prayagraj. It was not even criticized. It was just a funny thing where they said bye bye Modi. I don't know on what basis they have been hired. Sorry, arrested. I'm pretty sure the court will let them go. Hmm. Shreya says Satya Sai used to show magic tricks making gold chains out of thin air. I used to think कि ये देशभक्त नहीं है, अदरवाइज इतना गोल्ड बना देता कि अपना फिजिकल डेफिसिट खत्म हो जाता। एंटी नेशनल, दैट्स अ वेरी गुड पॉइंट। अगर कोई साधु बाबा इतने ज़्यादा जादुई हैं कि अपने हाथ से सोना उत्पन्न कर सकते हैं, तो वो सारा सोना मतलब लोगों को दिखाने के लिए ट्रिक्स में क्यों उत्पन्न करते हैं? Nandini says, Vimo, what do you think of Vashikaran and black magic? Is this real? No, Nandini, it is not. Dragoon says it was Christians, Hindus, and Muslims, but particularly focused on Tamilian. Yeah, so it was Christians and Tamilian primarily, because those are the minority communities of Sri Lanka, I guess. Shreya says, I was and still am a big Sachin Tendulkar fan, but जब मुझे पता चला कि वो सत्य साई बाबा भक्त है, एकदम से उसके लिए जो भी रिस्पेक्ट था मेरे मन में वो सारा गटर में चला गया अचानक। Manmat says, isn't spirituality a justification for failing to take responsibility for one's actions and about overemphasizing positivity to avoid looking at the problems in the real world? Yeah, it is. It is those things. And the reason it is a justification, like, you point out rightly that it is a justification for failing to take responsibility for one's own actions. But in a more general way, it is a justification of treating reality as secondary. If reality, as we understand it, is to be treated properly, we will understand that we have individual responsibilities, that nature matters, that we all have human qualities and stuff like that. But the reason they make it about highfalutin values like arrogance chala jayega spirituality se वगैरह वगैरह, the reason they do that is because they want to, there is this goal that spiritual gurus want their followers to have, and that goal has to be with some elevated kind of human being, and that is an illusion. No one is ever getting there, no one gets there. अपने जितने ज़्यादा किसी भी साधु बाबा का जो सबसे बड़ा भक्त है उसको देख लो, सोने के चेन्स में लदा होगा, अपने घर में पूरे जगह मतलब देवी देवताओं की फोटोज लगा रखी होगी, हर काम से पहले देवी देवताओं के नाम लेता होगा, और वही सब करप्शन, वही सब चालूगिरी, वही सब क्राइम्स, वही सब मिलता है उनके यहाँ। there is no there is nothing that people actually get to. They stick to it because they think, because in their minds reality has been turned into a secondary piece of shit. And I think as atheists, as materialists, as bhautikwadis, our goal should be to reimagine ways of respecting reality again. Reality is that which does not change. Reality is that which, no matter how much drama you do, it will remain what it is. I constantly keep looking for new ways of doing this. Sumana says, our science education system sucks. How is liberal arts? We don't really have a liberal arts education system. We have a humanities education thing. Liberal arts education system is something that America has, and even its school system is kind of inspired by it, where kids are allowed freedom to roam about, kids are allowed freedom to think their own thoughts, kids are allowed to speak in class. Which हमारे यहाँ तो बच्चे क्लास में टॉकिंग करते हैं तो नील डाउन कर दिया जाता है उनको. Senior says Hindu Rashtra equals Brahman. Yeah, exactly. Yes. Zia says, hey Vimo, would you be able to give a quick, concise explanation of how the caste system works? I have heard you refer to yourself as Savarna male at times. What exactly is that? Savarna means, so caste system ka jo, the phrase that is used in the Bhagavad Gita for the caste system is the Varna Vyavastha. And Varna is basically a word also used for skin tone. So fair skin is Savarna. But the word Savarna means people from upper castes. Brahmins, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, etc. are Savarna. And people who are below that, shudras or untouchables, they are people who are not savarna, non-savarna background. I belong to like my second name is Mohanty, so I belong to a subcaste called Karana, which is a subcaste of the warrior caste. So that is why I call myself savarna. um, अरे कहाँ गया? Somebody has said Chomu Prashant. Yes. Crazy Gamer says, I want to study philosophy and aerospace science in Europe or in America. Currently, I am studying for JEE. Is there a way to take admission through JEE? Crazy Gamer, you should ask someone who knows about education or some educational counselor. I don't have qualifications to give you this advice. Uh, Arun says, right now, Acharya Prashant is in the position that Sadhguru was in years ago, the new open minded Baba in the blog. Yeah. Baba ka, like on Human with Science, somebody pointed out that the tactic that they use is that they will arrive, they will be dressed in a very specific way, they will have hair of a very specific kind, they will take one aspect of religion and diss it. ये बकवास है, ये सब कुछ मतलब इसका कोई मतलब नहीं है. And they'll take another aspect of the same religion and says ये है असली चीज. So in Acharya Prashant's case, it's about what? It's about the Upanishads are perfect. Everything else is bakwas. So people who are opposed to religion are put in a quandary of kind of a quandary. They're like, "Huh, so he is criticizing religion. Clearly, that's a very atheistic thing, and he's saying Upanishads are the real thing. So maybe he has studied more than I do." And the kind of atheist who falls for this is someone who has not studied religion at all. This is why I keep emphasizing that atheists should study religious texts, because then your atheism will be powered by more than just rejection of religion. It will be powered by a conscious rejection of religion. Unfortunately, that does not happen much. Addict listener says, recently I saw live on Human with Science about Acharya Prashant. Human with Science got strike from there. He called himself a IIT guy and also claimed he cracked. Yeah, we have already spoken about this. Hmm. जाकिर नायक, जोकर नालायक भी एमबीबीएस करके बैठ, सबके सब वही है. They take on a qualification from somewhere good, and then they use that qualification as a launch pad for their stupid spiritual purposes. AD says, have these spiritual gurus, Jaggi Bhai and Double Shri and others, produced any results for their followers? How effective is meditation? There are some research shows them as effective. Yeah, it's mental exercise, so it's good for your mental health. It calms you down sometimes, and for stress relief and depression, I suspect it may also be useful for some people, although not for everyone. The problem with meditation is that it is often peddled as something that like जो भी meditate करेगा सबको फायदा होगा, but I don't think that is the case. It's like any kind of mental exercise. Like for example, take physical exercise. Every physical exercise is not for everyone. Some people may actually damage their bodies using a certain exercise that is useful to other people. So we need to bring meditation into the ambit of modern science and medical science instead of relying on Babajis who think that it's some kind of magical trick that will solve all problems. Santa says, why can't Indian scientists get a PR person and debunk these babas? Because these babas have a lot of political power. I think that is the reason. Although, if you're looking for debunkings, there are people on YouTube doing it. Pranav has a science channel called Science is Dope. He does debunkings, and a lot of other people also do it. Astha Mukti is a Hindi channel. I have a Hindi channel called Vemo Explains. If you want to check that out. AD says, oh, sorry, already read that. Purvesh says religions will update their scriptures as per the scientific discovery and claim it as they know it from centuries. Yeah, but there are certain fundamentals that they will never change. For example, Christianity will never change the fact that Jesus Christ was the Son of God, and Hinduism will never let go of the caste system, and Islam will never let go of Prophet Muhammad. So the core they will hold on to. Everything else around it, they're kind of open to changing. Like there are Islamic scholars right now who have begun accepting that evolution is real. So Arun says, dear religious rando, if your science is in the form of metaphors, it is not science. Ritu says, but in Hanuman Chalisa, the distance between sun and earth is mentioned. How is it possible? Ritu, Science is Dope has a video on this. Please go watch it. It is not mentioned there. It's a hoax. The units of measurement that are mentioned in Hanuman Chalisa are very loosely translated into the claim that it describes that distance accurately. It's a very old claim and there is no basis to it. Nadir says 56 people in live. Nice. Nadir इस लाइव चैनल पे रिकॉर्ड था 70 प्लस, पर उसके ऊपर ऐसा कभी गया नहीं है. बट या 56 इज नॉट बैड. अभी तो 60 है. Ishani says, how can people from IIM become babas in ISKCON? पैसा प्लस एक जगह बैठ के कुछ नहीं करना है और कुछ बड़ी बड़ी बातें करनी है और लोग तुम्हारे सामने हाथ जोड़ेंगे. बाय द वे, द जेंटलमैन हु रन्स द यूट्यूब चैनल आस्था मुक्ति, हिज नेम इज अर्पित द्विवेदी. He used to be a proper astrologer who appeared on television and he used to tell people their bhavishya. Do you know why he left? On this channel, I have interviewed him. If you want to, you can go into the interview section on the main page, find his interview, and it's called Freedom from Faith, I think. You can listen to it. But he used to be a Baba type figure. People used to come touch his feet, and that is why he left. He didn't feel like he deserved it. The difference between a sociopath and a decent person, I mean, sociopaths can be decent, I guess. The difference between a sociopath and a person like Arpit is that when he gets things he does not deserve, he feels bad. The other person, the charlatan, will enjoy it. सीनियर से सेंटा पॉलिटिशियंस बाबाज पॉलिटिशियंस को वोट बैंक देते हैं, इसलिए पॉलिटिशियंस बाबाओं के पैरों में पड़े रहते हैं. साइंटिस्ट कैसे इनको अपोज करेगा? क्या उसको देश के अंदर नहीं रहना है? या पॉलिटिकल पावर. Battler says, can you please give the name of the channel which covers the Godi media of Sri Lanka? It's called Article 14 India. The host is a gentleman called Naveen Kumar. Please watch it. उनका most recent video है श्रीलंका के ऊपर, I think. Last 2-3 वीडियो देख लो. Article 14 India. Crazy Gamer says, please make a podcast on how to take admission in other countries. Crazy Gamer, I'm not a career counselor. You should seek this advice from people who know how that is done. Search on YouTube for career advice, career counseling channel, and look at the credentials of the person who's giving the advice. बहुत से लोग फालतू एडवाइस दे रहे हैं, मैं भी दे सकता हूँ. चाहे रिसर्च कर लो, आर्टिकल पढ़ के बता दूंगा. But that is not good advice to take. Take advice from people who know what they are saying and know the topic that you are interested in. Aditya says, James Webb operates on infrared, so it can look back 13 billion years. It cannot look back 13 billion years only because it works on infrared. There are other satellites which also work on infrared. But James Webb ka advantage hai, it has constant access to that patch of sky because of its position in the Lagrange point. Hubble Space Telescope orbits the Earth. So if there is a point in space that Hubble wants to look at, it can only look at it for half a day, right? Because then the Earth gets in its way. James Webb does not have that problem. Also, James Webb has a cooling mechanism because infrared is basically, it is detecting heat signatures, right? But the satellite itself is a machine and it is generating heat. So James Webb has a great big partition that prevents the satellite's own heat from interrupting its perception of what it is looking at. So those are the reasons why it can look back 13 billion years. Infrared, looking through infrared is something a lot of space satellites have been doing for quite some time. We have infrared telescopes, we have radio telescopes, we have a lot of different kinds of telescopes. Socrates says Babas who look like actual Babas plus Babas who look like YouTubers are in the same. Yeah, it's the same big category of careerists who are doing this shit, but some look like religious, spiritual, mythological Babas, and some put on coats and glasses and pretend to know things that they don't, or actually lie about things, जिसके बारे में मैं वो मोटिवेशन वाले वीडियो में बात किया था. Cherish is here. Hi, Cherish. The analogy of the lotus thriving only if a messy pond is maintained could never be more right. Yeah. Kaushal says JWST can see back 13 billion years. Big Bang was 13.6 billion years ago. The light immediately after Big Bang has been observed. It is the cosmic microwave background radiation. Cosmic microwave background radiation is light. What I was talking about is photons. If you want to put CMBR in the same category, then I suspect you could be right. In any case, that is why I said you should double check it. I was talking about light, photons. CMBR is not light. कहाँ गया? CMBR is not light in the way that I was describing light. Let's just put it that way. Hmm. Shreya says, I have a theory. In societies where mental health is not given the importance it needs, these babas will keep popping up because they are just trying to fill the gap where psychologists should have been. Yeah. Although they are often the patients that psychologists could have treated also, like in the case of Ramakrishna Paramhans. Memories of the movie says, I was asked to stand outside of the classroom for putting hand on my friend's shoulder in the class. School के बारे में पूछो ही मत. Yeah. Our schools are not places of education. Our schools are places of indoctrination into discipline, because discipline is what our society runs on the basis of. Bhupendra says, how atheist marriage in general, also our parents always wanted that we should marriage with our रीति रिवाज, और अगर मना करो दे फील कि बेटा अपनी चला रहा है, अब हमें कुछ समझता ही नहीं है. इसमें सबसे बड़ा प्रॉब्लम तो है कि बेटा अपनी चला सकता है. जस्ट बिकॉज बेटा अपनी चला रहा है, इसका मतलब ये थोड़ी कि वो माँ बाप को प्यार नहीं करता. माँ बाप को ऐसा क्यों लगता है कि बेटे का माँ बाप के प्रति प्यार सिर्फ तभी झलक सकता है जब वो माँ बाप की हर बात माने आंख बंद करके. माँ बाप को ऐसा क्यों लगता है कि बेटा उनका पपेट है? क्या पपेट हुए बिना बेटा बेटा नहीं हो सकता? बेटा माँ बाप से प्यार कर सकता है, और ये साथ ही साथ माँ बाप की कुछ चीज़ों से इनकार कर सकता है या ऑब्जेक्शन कर सकता है. उसमें क्या है? और रही बात शादी की, एथीस्ट शादी करते हैं यार, जैसे सब लोग शादी करते हैं. उसमें क्या है? रीति-रिवाज शादी को शादी नहीं बनाते, कानून बनाता है. कोर्ट मैरिज कर सकते हैं. उसमें क्या है? हम्म. सीनियर सेज, आचार्य प्रशांत ने गीता का ट्रांसलेशन किया है और इस्कॉन के ट्रांसलेशन को क्रिटिसाइज किया है. या दीज आर बेसिकली careerists who are doing a dhanda, who are trying to occupy a certain amount of space in the market. The market of spirituality has a lot of babas, a lot of organizations, and this guy is trying to make his own name in it. He's not different from anyone else. He's just another kind of thing. There's nothing atheistic or special about this guy. Sumana says, to study in the US, you need to write SAT and TOEFL for bachelor degree or GRE, GMAT, and TOEFL for master's degree. I studied my master's in the US. I can answer some questions with respect to US. Okay, so Sumana is the person you should ask things to. Shreya says, because we are talking about the tier 1 babas here, but what I realize is that there are local babas on state, district, and village level. Yeah, it is a bottomless pit, and it keeps getting deeper and deeper. It is an industry. It is a thriving industry. And it is basically a kind of entertainment industry, because it is entertainment. As हमने एक एपिसोड किया था जिसका लिटरली नाम था रिलीजन इज एंटरटेनमेंट. सो उस एपिसोड को देख सकते हो अगर ज़्यादा जानना चाहते हो तो. बट या इट इज़ एन इंडस्ट्री. Augustus says, Vimo wasn't dissing one aspect and praising the rest. 19th century Reformation was most of the time, be it Dayanand Saraswati, Vivekanand, and Paramhans, among others. Yeah, it was. And now what you realize, now the conclusion you're coming to is that this shit is not new. It has always been this way. MG says, those who can't do, teach. Unless you're talking about teaching, right? Because doing teaching is teaching. So you won't call someone who's teaching and say that those who can't do, teach, because in the case of teaching, teaching is doing and teaching is teaching. Right? Does that make sense? Like when I was in college, a professor of mine said, nothing is rocket science. And I said, except rocket science. And she said, no, even rocket science. And then she, oh, no, yeah, yeah, okay, yeah. Samira says, hi, Vimo. Have you ever collaborated with the Indian Atheist YouTube channel? His videos are nice. Arey, that guy is not uploading only. I sent him messages. कि कब चालू कर रहे हो? I love your channel. Before I started making atheism videos, he was doing it. And when I first found him, I figured, okay, so he has a channel called the Indian Atheist, and I'm making Indian atheism videos. I should get in touch with him. And I sent him a message. And he knew me from my work, my writings and stuff. And he said, yeah, I'm going to restart, but he hasn't restarted yet. So I don't know when he's coming back. Whenever he comes back, I'll definitely have him on. If he needs help promoting his channel, I'll have him on this channel. But he needs to come back first. Arun says, my relatives take advice from temple pundits for every decision or problem they face in life. Is this Brahminical supremacy? Yes. What does the Brahmin know that you don't know? Why do Hindu families call Brahmins to their house to perform puja? Like Hindus are very fond of saying, right? Ki, we don't have a church authority, we don't have mullahs, etc. But then why are you calling someone to your house to perform a puja? Can't you do it? Will God not listen to you if you call out to God? Is the Brahmin going to be a conduit to your relationship with God or divinity or the universe or whatever? That is Brahminical patriarchy. That is Brahminical, not patriarchy, that is Brahminical supremacy. The idea that Brahmins are special and that only they can do certain things that you can't. Manmat says Acharya Pareshan has Vedant in his every thumbnail and intro, but those who read no Marvel universe will top all the Purans, Upanishads, and Vedant put together, both in fun and morality. Hmm. Rajat says, I feel new generation seeks validation of their things which, as per society, are taboo, and those new age babas sometimes do that, and that is why their following is too much. Fair point. विकास है JWST के इमेजेस के बाद में फिर से एग्जिस्टेंशियल क्राइसिस फील कर रहा हूँ इसे दूर करने के लिए क्या करते हो आप एग्जिस्टेंशियल क्राइसिस क्यों होगा आई एम ऑलरेडी अवेयर ऑफ द फैक्ट दैट आई एम अ ह्यूमन बीइंग हु लिव्स इन अ यूनिवर्स द JWST is simply showing me the walls of my home. The universe is my home. I want to show you guys a video, but I don't know if I have it on my machine or on some hard drive. But let me just look for it a little bit. K K. Nope, I don't have it here. Nope, I don't have it here. So basically, it was a quote which was, "I am not going anywhere because I'm always home. Nothing can move me because I'm forgetting. I'm forgetting." But the idea was that I am home. The universe itself is my, like we say, right? मैं यहाँ से हूँ, मैं वहाँ से हूँ. We do it for convenience. But if you say that मैं universe से हूँ, then you're always right. The universe is our home. No matter where you are, no matter what planet you are on, what country you are on, what continent you are on, you are in the universe. So जब मैं JWST के फोटोज देखता हूँ सुदूर गैलेक्सीज के किसी और प्लानट के भी मुझे एक ही चीज़ समझ में आती है और वो ये है कि ये मेरा घर है यहाँ मैं रहता हूँ दिस इज़ वेयर आई एंड एवरी वन आई नो लिव्स एवरी वन आई डोंट नो ऑल्सो लिव्स हियर ओनली Samajik Samaj says, what Arvind Kejriwal or Manohar Parrikar use IITN as chief minister? I think it's a good way to use prestigious titles. Yeah, sure. If you're doing it for politics, I suppose. See, the thing is this these organizations have a lot of credibility. People have studied there, and the people who have studied there enjoy a little bit of respect from people. So, what they do is that they use that respect to they try, like energy cannot be converted, energy cannot be created or destroyed. It can simply be transformed from one form to another form. So, what they try to do is that respect cannot be created or destroyed. IIT already has a lot of respect. I'll take some of that respect and transform it into religious slash spiritual respect. Sumana says, I do not recommend studying non-science tech in the US unless you have a lot of money. Non-science, non-tech people have a hard time getting work visa. Samajik Samaj says, is it possible to make ideology which has both religion as well as communism both simultaneously? I don't think so. Unless you want to treat communism as a religion, which some people do, and I disagree with it, because communism is actually anti-religion. Marxism, at the very least, is anti-religion. विकास says, विमो भैया इतना सब कुछ समझने के बाद भी पता नहीं मुझे कभी कभी सुपरस्टिशन में ट्रस्ट करने का मन करता है बता सकते हैं ऐसा क्यों होता है आई नो इट इज़ अ स्टूपिड क्वेश्चन यू आर राइट इट इज़ अ स्टूपिड क्वेश्चन एंड आई एम नॉट गोइंग टू आंसर इट Addict listener says, once I was talking to my Christian friend and I say science also claims prayer can heal mental and physical damage and he was then reading Bible with science then soon I criticize origin he offended. What? आई डोंट नो व्हाट यू मीन हिंदी में पूछ लो सर जो भी पूछना है जो भी बताना है हिंदी में बता लो कम से कम समझ में आ जाएगा Sridhar says JWST is placed in Lagrange point 2. Yes, Lagrange 2. Indian Atheist says hi. Buffering. Crazy Gamer says nowadays JNU is being criticized for rationalistic ideology. जेएनयू को क्रिटिसाइज करने के लिए इनको कोई बहाना नहीं चाहिए, पर ये साथ ही साथ इस चीज़ से भी मुंह नहीं मोड़ सकते कि जेएनयू इज़ वन ऑफ द बेस्ट यूनिवर्सिटीज़ इन द कंट्रीज, राइट? ये लोग इन लोगों का क्या है, मतलब जामिया को इंसल्ट करो, जेएनयू को इंसल्ट करो, पर तुम्हारे देश को जितने भी एकेडमिक एक्कोलेट्स मिल रहे हैं, वो वहीं से मिल रहे हैं। तुम्हारे मोदी जी के कैबिनेट में ऐसे मंत्री हैं जो जेएनयू से निकले थे। सो मूड क्या है, बट यू ऑलवेज से यू जज एनी रिलीजन बाय द प्रैक्टिस पीपल ऑफ दैट रिलीजन डू, एग्जाम्पल हिंदूज, कास्ट सिस्टम, मुस्लिम्स, सर तन से जुदा, सो वाई स्टडी रिलीजन? बिकॉज इन ऑर्डर टू, जिस से तुम लड़ रहे हो, अगर उसके बारे में तुम्हें पता नहीं है तो वो लड़ाई तुम कभी जीत नहीं सकोगे. That is the reason. If atheists want to remove religion, they have to be capable enough to have debates and discussions about religion. You guys have seen Ghalib Kamal and Haris Sultan, right? They have studied the Quran. They are not Muslim, but they have studied it because they understand that in order to change people's minds, they are going to have to talk about them. So that is why. Human is a social animal is here. They say, hi Vimo, I'm late here, but seen your video and good to listen to Hindi videos from you. Much appreciated, sir. Or ma'am, I don't know your gender, sorry. But yeah, Vimo Explains is the Hindi channel that he's talking about. On it, I'm posting short Hindi explainer videos. So if you think you will like it, please go subscribe. Just search for Vimo Explains and subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon, please. Rucha says, what are your thoughts on Osho? I see a lot of seemingly liberal, open-minded people quote him and such. As a feminist atheist, I am quite skeptical of his perspectives on life. My view on all Babas is the same. I treat them with extreme suspicion. I have no difference of opinion from Osho also. I think there is a Bollywood, Mahesh Bhatt used to be a huge fan of Osho. Maybe you can look up his opinions about Osho. Memory says, teaching can be a thing. Physical education, TV show community did a bit on it. Okay, I don't know. Bhupendra says, make a video on reality versus truth in all aspects like philosophy, science, and real life. I don't know what you mean by that. What do you mean by reality versus truth? I did a video about how we define truth. Like it was a short 3-minute video. And it was also an experiment on whether I can make an entire video on mobile. That video was entirely made on mobile, edited on mobile, and uploaded through mobile. But yeah, I don't know what you mean by reality versus truth. Socrates says, teens who say there are too many problems in India, abroad जाएंगे, यहाँ कौन रहेगा? I say, we have to solve this country's problems and not run from it, but they don't give a damn, just want to go to US, Canada. Well, everyone has the right to choose their future. My problem is not with anyone wanting to go abroad and, do better in life. My problem is when they do better in life and then interrupt India's internal happenings from a foreign location. I don't think of them as anything different from, white people having doing interruptions in India. Because if they have left India and they are working to damage India, then they're basically, an alien force trying to disrupt Indian lives or ruin India. Webber says, universe is my home, reminded me of the pale blue dot speech. Yeah. That is what it was. You think I'm smart enough to make an original speech? Pale blue dot is the most revolutionary scientific worldview thinking wala speech ever given. And I think I was kind of building on top of it. Rajat says, recently saw a Western guy selling Gita on a traffic signal in US. He was from ISKCON. This is pure business, which people from West think religious practice. Yeah. सीनियर says, एजुकेशन सिस्टम खत्म करके ही देश को ज़्यादा टाइम तक मूर्ख बनाया जा सकता है, इसलिए रिलीजियस आइडियोलॉजी सबसे पहले एजुकेशन सिस्टम को ही खत्म करती है. या ह्यूमन सोशल एनिमल says, Haris is ex-Muslim and I am male. Yeah. Okay. Thank you for clarifying. Sumana says, for me, believing in superstition was an easy way out. It's hard when you realize your life is only in your hands. Atheism is hard, liberating, and scary. Atheism is hard in the beginning, I suppose. Once you become self-reliant enough to not having to rely on babas and gurus, I think it's okay. Addict listener says, mankind has its essence in the world wars, and the only way mankind can redeem its value is by compassion. Mankind has its essential in the world wars. Uh, I don't know if world wars can be defined as human essence. I think they are the essence of Western colonialism and capitalism. But mankind, I like to believe, is more than just those two things, right? Maybe that's just the Trekkie in me. Be active, be happy says, hey Vimo, Osho copied a set from Carlin and Kamara showed it on his workshop. Oh, okay. I had no idea. Pankaj says, what is the basic difference between religion and science? Uh, Science is a method of arriving upon conclusions about reality based on observation, experimentation, and peer review. Religion is a set of old stories that human beings told each other when they had no clue how things worked. That is the difference. Murgia says marriage itself is a tool for controlling men and women by society and even state. Probably true. More society than state. Sridhar says JWST is named after James Webb. He is criticized for removing homosexual people from NASA. Fair enough. Samajik Samaj says, what is the importance of an education institution for society? Destruction of Nalanda, Vik- Vikramashila, नालंदा विक्रमशिला नालंदा ओके के बाद से इंडिया गुलाम हुआ पाखंड फैला बट यूरोप की पुरानी यूनिवर्सिटीज आज भी चल रही हैं Sumana says, oh man, my husband and I ran away when we saw a bunch of people from ISKCON singing Hare Krishna in Boston. Human is social animal says, हमारा आधा देश तो गुरुओं का एंड बाबाओं ने खा लिया ये बहुत पहले से खा रहे हैं. Rajat says, do you think there is some reality behind every superstition? No, I don't think there is any reality behind every superstition. Most superstitions are results of culture, and cultural origins of superstitions can often be forgotten. For example, a thought experiment. There is this bridge, and there is a barrier before the bridge. Every time people enter the bridge, they lower their head because the barrier is there. In due course of time, people may forget that the barrier was ever there because the barrier went away, but they don't forget the habit that they have to lower their head. And at some point of time, someone says, why are we lowering our head? And someone else who is unable to let go of the habit of lowering his head says there is a scientific reason behind it. So solar eclipse and rays and gravity and something they will make up. So superstitions के पीछे mostly culture होता है, ज़्यादातर cases में science नहीं होता है. Zia says, are we having a longer podcast today, Vimo, since we didn't have one yesterday? No, sir, I can't afford to do more than, 1 hour, 8 minutes ho gaya hai. Thank you, Zia, for pointing this out. I'll end it in a minute. Be Active, Be Happy says, your thoughts on Swami Vivekananda and religion? Ramakrishna Mission does philanthropy and far from controversy. We already spoke about this in the earlier half of the episode. If you want to, you can go back and listen to it. So what I'm going to do now is that I'm going to tell you guys about I'm going to tell you guys about my Patreon page. If you want to support this channel, you can support me on Patreon, patreon.com/Vimo. Or if you want to support this channel directly on YouTube, you can click the join button below and you can make a monthly pledge. If you don't want to support on YouTube or Patreon by making a monthly or annual pledge, what you can do is you can make a one-time donation by going to my blog, which is vimo.stck.me, and you can make a one-time donation of your choice. This podcast is about contemporary India. We talk about things like this every day at 10 p.m. on YouTube, and the audio version of this goes on my podcast, which you can listen to at www.vimo.in. That's the website for the podcast. All the episodes are available there to listen to. And you also have links to all the audio apps like Spotify, Google Podcast, Ghana.com, JioSavan, Apple Podcast, and Amazon Music, and a few others where you can listen to the show. And if you want to listen to my standalone videos on atheism, you can just visit youtube.com/Vimo. Not just atheism, there are some other videos also. There is a video essay about Thanos. And there is a video about Super Commando Dhruv from Raj Comics. So I make videos sometimes and I put them on this channel so you can watch them. And that's about it. My gaming channel is at youtube.com/VimoPlays. I haven't uploaded anything in the last week, but I'm going to. So yeah, that is about it. With that, I come to the end of this episode. There are a few more comments. Let me quickly go through them. Yeah. Isha says trivia: the concept of wearing robes during graduation in the West is from medieval times in Islamic countries because they had universities. Okay, that's where algebra and algorithms come from, because al. Uh, Shreya says like the stream and आग की तरह फैला दो इसे. Okay, दंगा वंगा मत करो, but like the stream. Yeah, जो भी यहाँ पे है एक बार like button मार दो. The episode will become visible to more people as a result of it, I think. But yeah, thank you everyone for coming. Today was July 13, Wednesday. This live stream happens every day at 10 p.m. So I guess tomorrow I will see you at 10 p.m. And when I do see you tomorrow, we will talk about, I don't know what tomorrow's topic is going to be, but we'll talk about stuff. Until then, I bid you, अरे ये comment screen पे रह गया shares का. Until then, I bid you good night, and I will see you tomorrow, and I hope you have a nice day. Bye bye.